Hello and welcome to the Nightmare Vault. I almost forgot what we're doing for a second. How long have we been doing this for now? A while, haven't we?
Yeah, a few months.
Although, God, that Jeff the Killer one that took a lot longer than expected. I knew it was going to take a while to do, but
Yeah.
we just fell off the face of the planet for a couple months. It didn't
Yeah.
help that I got sick and then you got sick and then
Yeah.
we all got sick.
Yeah. Sitting by the fire.
So, well, hopefully we can, that doesn't bode well for some of the longer ones. Although the funny thing is there is going to be a follow-up for the Jeff the Killer one just to
Yes.
kind of dive a bit more into the origins and that.
Yeah, a bit more of a history check, background sort of check.
Yeah,
on,
just because there's
the
just
lore.
a few interesting things, just kind of how it evolved.
Yeah, and what's come since.
Not only that, but I guess it's never going to end because we're going to be covering more clones and that eventually.
Yes.
Although I think we'd be near the bottom of the barrel by the time we do that, although we may cover some of the notable ones.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is weird because, speaking of Jeff the Killer clones, I think it's only recently that I listened to Tiki Toby, which is weird because I should have known about it because I was a part of the community around that time, but
Right. Just
I
slip
guess,
through.
considering, how many stories there are in that, and then
Yes.
everyone's got their own niches and that,
Yeah, that's right.
I tend to, I guess stuff like what we're covering today
Yep.
is kind of more the stuff I'm into,
Cool.
with probably Jeff the Killer being kind of the odd exception.
So, on that note, what are we covering today?
Smile.jpeg, or also known as smile.dog or smile dog,
Yeah.
or some variation of it.
Yeah, it's got many names.
Although I think it was originally known as smile.jpeg, which I think works.
I think that's better, to be honest. I like the idea that, it doesn't mention that there is a dog involved from the beginning, I guess. Just, in the title.
Although I guess before we get back into it, it does kind of covering it makes me feel old because, one, the story's almost 10 years old now, if not probably a bit over 10 years old. And two, it is, I don't want to talk about that because I think that spoils it too much, but then the story's been around for so long that everyone should know the gist. And if not, I guess I wanted to preserve it for I guess the newer generations that haven't heard of the story.
Yes.
But I think it's kind of hard not to have, considering
sure.
it's up there with the greats, but I'd consider it a strong contender for being one of the greats. But it's definitely a part of what I call the the must see from the classic section.
Golden era creepypasta.
Oh yeah.
Well, I guess, it's just over 14 years old if we're going off of...
Oh God, that makes me feel old.
So 28th of April 2010, and it is currently the 5th of July 2024.
But again, the things with creepypastas is that they kind of, before they got uploaded to the wiki, they existed beforehand.
So potentially older.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not sure how much older, but that is...
probably a year or two.
Yeah. And I guess on your point of it being overall just, a really good top contender, or at least should be, held up there with the greats. I think a lot of people seem to agree with your thoughts.
Oh, yeah,
the fact that,
looking at the rating thing, it says, 9 out of 10 from 5,500 votes. Which
it's quite a lot.
I think that's a good indicator of, it being highly liked.
Absolutely. Well, I guess with that said,
we got to get into it. I first met in person with Mary E. in the summer of 2007. I had arranged with her husband of 15 years, Terence, to see her for an interview. Mary had initially agreed, since I was not a newsman, but rather an amateur writer, gathering information for a few early college assignments, and if all went according to plan, some pieces of fiction. We scheduled the interview for a particular weekend when I was in Chicago on unrelated business, but at the last moment, Mary changed her mind and locked herself in the couple's bedroom, refusing to meet with me. For half an hour, I sat with Terence as we camped outside the bedroom door. I listening and taking notes while he attempted fruitlessly to calm his wife. The things Mary said made little sense but fit with the pattern I was expecting. Although I could not see her, I could tell from her voice that she was crying, and more often than not, her objections to speaking with me centered around an incoherent diatribe on her dreams, her nightmares. Terence apologized profusely when we ceased the exercise, and I did my best to take it in stride. Recall that I wasn't a reporter in search of a story, but merely a curious young man in search of information. Besides, I thought at the time I could perhaps find another similar case if I put my mind and resources to it. Mary was the size-up for a small Chicago-based bulletin board system in 1992 when she first encountered smile.jpeg, and her life changed forever. She and Terence had been married for only 5 months. Mary was one of an estimated 400 people who saw the image when it was posted as a hyperlink on the BBS. Although she is the only one who has spoken openly about the experience, the rest have remained anonymous or are perhaps dead. In 2005, when I was only in 10th grade, smile.jpg was first brought to my attention by my burgeoning interests in web-based phenomena. Mary was the most often cited victim of what is sometimes referred to as smile.dog, the being smile.jpg is reputed to display. What caught my interest, other than the obvious macabre elements of the cyber legend and my proclivity towards such things, was the sheer lack of information, usually to the point that people didn't believe it even exists, other than as a rumor or hoax. It is unique because although the entire phenomenon centers on a picture file, that file is nowhere to be found on the internet. Certainly many photo-manipulated simulacra litter the web, showing up with the most frequency on sites such as the image board 4chan, particularly the X-Focus paranormal subboard. It is suspected these are fakes because they do not have the effects the true smile.jpg is believed to have, namely sudden onset temporal lobe epilepsy and acute anxiety. This purported reaction in the viewer is one of the reasons the phantom-like smile.jpg is regarded with such disdain, since it is patently absurd, although depending on whom you ask, the reluctance to acknowledge smile.jpg's existence might just be as much out of fear as it is out of disbelief. Neither smile.jpg nor smile.dog is mentioned anywhere on Wikipedia, although the websites featuring articles on such other, perhaps more scandalous shock sites as Redacted, Hello.jpg or Two Girls, One Cup. Any attempt to create a page pertaining to smile.jpg is summarily deleted by any of the encyclopedia's many admins. Encounters with smile.jpg are the stuff of internet legend. Mary E's story is not unique. There are unverified rumors of smile.jpg showing up in the early days of Usenet, and even one persistent tale that in 2002 a hacker flooded the forums of humor and satire websites, something awful with a deluge of smile.dog pictures, rendering almost half the forum users at the time epileptic. It is also said that in the mid to late 90s that smile.jpg circulated on Usenet and as an attachment of a chain email with the subject line, "Smile, God loves you." Yet, despite the huge exposure these stunts would generate, there are very few people who admit to having experienced any of them, and no trace of the file or any link has ever been discovered. Those who claim to have seen smile.jpg often weakly joke that they were far too busy to save a copy of the picture to their hard drive. However, all alleged victims offer the same description of the photo: a dog-like creature, usually described as appearing similar to a Siberian husky, illuminated by the flash of the camera, sits in a dim room, the only background details that is visible being a human hand extending from the darkness near the left side of the frame. The hand is empty, but is usually described as beckoning. Of course, most attention is given to the dog or dog creature, as some victims are more certain than others about what they claim to have seen. The muzzle of the beast is reputedly split in a wide grin, revealing 2 rows of very white, very straight, very sharp, very human-looking teeth. This is, of course, not a description given immediately after viewing the picture, but rather a recollection of the victims, who claim to have seen the picture endlessly repeated in their mind's eye during the time they are in reality having epileptic fits. These fits are reported to continue indeterminately, often while the victims sleep, resulting in very vivid and disturbing nightmares. These may be treated with medication, although in some cases it is more effective than others. Mary E., I assumed, was not on effective medication. That was why, after my visit to her apartment in 2007, I sent out feelers to several folklore and urban legend orientated news groups, websites, and mailing lists, hoping to find the name of a supposed victim of smile.jpeg who felt more interested in talking about his experiences. For a time, nothing happened, and at length I forgot completely about my pursuits, since I had begun my freshman year of college and was quite busy. Mary contacted me via email, however, near the beginning of March 2008. Subject: last summer's interview. Dear Mr. L, I am incredibly sorry about my behaviour last summer when you came to interview me. I hope you understand that it was no fault of yours, but rather my own problems that led me to act out as I did. I realised that I could have handled the situation more decorously. However, I hope you will forgive me. At the time, I was afraid. You see, for 15 years I have been haunted by smile.jpeg. Smile.dog comes to me in my sleep every night. I know that sounds silly, but it is true. There is an ineffable quality about my dreams, my nightmares, that makes them completely unlike any real dreams I have ever had. I do not move and do not speak. I simply look ahead, and the only thing ahead of me is the scene from that horrible picture. I see the beckoning hand, and I see smile.dog. It talks to me. It is not a dog, of course, although I am not quite sure what it really is. It tells me it will leave me alone if only I do as it asks. All I must do, it says, is spread the word. That is how it phrases its demands, and I know exactly what it means. It wants me to show it to someone else, and I could. The week after my incident, I received in the mail a manila envelope with no return address. Inside was only a 3.5-inch floppy diskette. Without having to check, I knew precisely what was on it. I thought for a long time about my options. I could show it to a stranger, a co-worker. I could even show it to Terence. As much as the idea disgusts me, then what would happen then? Well, if smile.dog kept its word, I could sleep. Yet, if it lied, what would I do? And who was to say something worse would not come for me if I did as the creature asked? So I did nothing for 15 years, although I kept the diskette hidden amongst my things. Every night for 15 years, smile.dog has come to me in my sleep and demanded that I spread the word. For 15 years I have stood strong, although there has been hard times. Many of my fellow victims on the BBS board where I first encountered smile.jpeg stopped posting. I have heard some of them committed suicide, while others remained completely silent, simply disappearing off the face of the web. They are the ones I worry about the most. I sincerely hope you will forgive me, Mr. L, but last summer when you contacted me and my husband about an interview, I was near the breaking point. I decided I was going to give you the floppy diskette. I did not care if smile.dog was lying or not. I wanted it to end. You were a stranger, someone I had no connection with, and I thought I would not feel sorrow when you took the diskette as part of your research and sealed your fate. Before you arrived, I realized what I was doing was plotting to ruin your life, could not stand the thought, and in fact, I still cannot. I am ashamed, Mr. L, and I hope that this warning will dissuade you from further investigation of smile.jpeg. You may in time encounter someone who is, if not weaker than I, then wholly more depraved. Someone who will not hesitate to follow smile.dog's orders. Stop while you are still whole. Sincerely, Mary E. Terence contacted me later that month with the news that his wife had killed herself. While cleaning up the various things she left behind, closing email accounts and the like, he happened upon the above message. He was a man in shambles. He wept as he told me to listen to his wife's advice. He found the diskette he revealed and burned it until it was nothing but a stinking pile of blackened plastic. The part that most disturbed him, however, was how the diskette had hissed as it melted, like some sort of animal, he said. I will admit that I was a little uncertain about how to respond to this. At first I thought perhaps it was a joke, with the couple belatedly playing with the situation in order to get a rise out of me. A quick check of several Chicago newspaper online obituaries, however, proved that Mary E. was indeed dead. There was, of course, no mention of suicide in the article. I decided that, for the time at least, I would not further pursue the subject of smile.jpeg, especially since I had finals coming up at the end of May. But the world has odd ways of testing us. Almost a full year after I returned from my disastrous interview with Mary E., I had received another email. Subject, smile. Hello. I found your email address through a mailing list. Your profile said you are interested in Smile Dog. I have saw it. It is not as bad as everyone says. I have sent it to you. Here, just spreading the word. The final line chilled me to the bone. According to my email client, there was one file attached called naturally smile.jpeg. I considered downloading it for some time. It was most likely a fake, I imagined, and even if it weren't, I was never wholly convinced of smile.jpeg's peculiar powers. Mary E's account had shaken me, yes, but she was probably mentally unbalanced anyway. After all, how could a simple image do what smile.jpeg was said to accomplish? What sort of creature was it that could break one's mind with only the power of the eye? And if such a thing were patently absurd, then why did the legend exist at all? If I downloaded the image, if I looked at it, and if Mary turned out to be correct, if smile.dog came to me in my dreams demanding I spread the word, what would I do? Would I live my life as Mary had, fighting against the urge to give in until I die? Or would I simply spread the word, eager to put it to rest? And if I had chose the latter route, how could I do it? Whom would I burden in turn? If I went through with my earlier intention to write a short article about smile.jpeg, I decided I could attach it as an evidence, and anyone who reads the article, anyone who took interest, would be affected. And even assuming the smile.jpeg attached to the email was genuine, would I be capricious enough to save myself in that manner? Could I spread the word? Yes I could. There we go. That took a lot more effort to read than I thought. I guess just a bit off today.
But no, I think it was overall pretty good.
Wow.
So how long has it been since you've read this?
Oh God, I last read this a long time ago.
Yeah,
so it's actually kind of refreshing to go back through it.
That's cool. Yeah, this, as usual, being my first time hearing the story, I definitely can see where you're coming from saying that it has merit to be up there with some of the better of the creepypasta stories, because it definitely does. There definitely were moments during the story section when we were recording where, some of the grammar was a bit, how's it going? And definitely some
interesting choices of words.
Yeah.
And also me being a bit small brain too. This is this one section that was like, this makes no sense. And then and I couldn't quite understand, so I had to do a few takes. And by the time I actually got the take right, it just clicked. I'm like, fuck me.
Yeah, and it was that particular one was one where I think, yeah, definitely the author, I kind of feel when they were writing the story, there's a lot of times, but particularly with that one where, yeah, they're like, they've learnt a new word and they really want to use that new word and they found a place to put it. That's kind of what I feel throughout a lot of this story. However, yeah, I think if you take out some of those bigger, highfalutin words or terminologies and simplify them, I think that probably actually would have worked better. But yeah, overall, I can definitely see how this is a 9 out of 10 because, yeah, it is fairly good. To be honest, I think the only letdown for me or where it might lose points would probably be in the end. I think I was really following along quite intently the entire time. It did a great job of setting things up and, you know, going into the history of things. I thought that was really cool because that's not something we've quite seen or read in the other stories. So yeah, that was really good. It was just more the ending. I definitely wasn't expecting it to have that little turn of like, you know, could I spread the word? Yes, I could. It feels a little bit silly of an ending. I don't know. Yeah, that's only my my little 2 cents.
It's kind of a fun twist.
It is a good twist.
Although it does sort of kind of, well, I guess sort of not really make sense within its own logic.
Yeah.
After all, like, again, like early on, any mentions of it was, scrubbed off the web.
Yes.
But I think the biggest thing for me and the reason why I like the end so much is because, it's kind of up in the air if it is the actual smile.jpeg or not.
There is that, yeah.
I think that what makes the end really work because it's up to, the user to determine if it was the real one or not.
Yeah, because even, he mentions, is it genuine? That's, yet to be seen. So, yeah, it's left pretty open-ended. And realistically, I guess, even he does say he could spread the word, but he hasn't actually seen the image yet or had the dreams. So it's almost theoretical in his own sense as well. Because, of course, Mary thought that she could go through with spreading the word to an absolute stranger.
And backed out.
Yeah, and backed out. So would he back out as well?
Although I know when I was younger, although I'm kind of like, a bit of an idiot for this kind of interpretation, I kind of sort of, although I guess it's probably because when I first heard the story, I kind of interpreted that he actually did did write the story and attached the file.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Which kind of made that whole thing into the end kind of have more payoff because he did actually spread the word.
I see.
But I think that's just a bit of misremembering and also either hearing someone who may have did a slight spin on the end or not. But again, it's all fuzzy, the memory.
Yeah.
But in that kind of sense, it definitely makes a lot more sense.
That I think it would make a lot more sense if he did write the article, he did attach it, and then send it out. But it does seem that he's sort of contemplating with himself at this point as like I could go through with my earlier intention.
Actually, I think on the wiki it actually has the image attached at the bottom.
Ah, yes.
Actually, can you pull it up real quick? If you scroll to the bottom of the story. Yeah, credit anonymous. And I think that's actually what I did originally. I interpreted them as adding the image because they did add the image at the bottom of it, which is basically they call them attaching a file.
Actually, now that I've seen it, now that I've thought about it, I think that is the article. We've just read the article.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
Now it clicks.
And now it clicks, yeah. So, we've just read the article. Okay.
Great. So I guess now we got to spread the word.
I guess so.
Good luck with that, motherfuckers.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I'm going to say then, I actually prefer the story now. So, like...
I like how it took you a bit.
It did take me a bit, but that's...
It was just me sort of not quite remembering it, but then,
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah, it's attached to the bottom, and then it clicked.
Yeah, because, to give context to the listeners, where we were reading off of a Word document version, which didn't have the picture at the bottom there. Yeah, not from the actual CreepyPasta website. So, because it is riddled with lots
Ads
and
was
lots
just-
of ads.
No, that, but the text size,
Yes.
just because of the setup we have, makes it very hard to read.
Yes. So yeah, with that context out of the way, then yeah, actually now I can really see why it is a 9 out of 10. And yeah, I think my only judgment is really some of the word choicing and some of the odd grammar.
But I do have the question: can you spread the word? Because I sure as can. Well, why do you think I'm making this video?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess I'll have to see tonight if I get visited in my dreams by smile.dog, and if that will be enough to push me to the edge.
Oh no, I'm just gonna do it anyway because, well, actually, what's the worst that can happen?
So yeah, we'll finish off with a rating. I guess, yeah, for you, a story that you've come back to, does it sort of hold up in your...
Actually, I guess now that I'm wiser and older, it actually kind of works better. I just don't know why, because the story hasn't changed. It's just, I guess, my perception of it.
Yes.
But I guess it's more because it was like, when I was younger, it was like, oh yeah, this is kind of a bit of a spooky story. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And now when I look back at it, it's like, it's just that question at the end: can you spread the word?
Yeah.
Especially knowing what happens to the what the other people experience.
Yeah. So out of 10,
I would like to give it like just a straight 10, but I just by principle can't give anything a straight 10. I think I'm going to give it a 9 with, I guess, my seal of approval, which I think I may have done that for Russian Sleep Experiment as well.
I think so. Yeah.
I think a lot of these early ones I'm going to cover are going to get that.
Yeah. This one actually has impressed me. This is maybe, the first story that has really, really impressed me. I'm probably going to go at 8.5, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely has a lot of merit, I think. And is maybe the first story that is like it's self-contained. I couldn't really see, like a prequel being necessary or a sequel being necessary. I think it just works as is. Where with a lot of the other stories, it's like there's more there, or more to be left desired. And I think if anything is left to be desired, it is that idea of, it puts it more on you as the reader. Like, would you
I guess
share it?
Yeah, and that's the thing. By sharing it, you spread the word.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just like that. That is actually really clever.
Yeah, I think so too. So yeah, I'm going to 8.5 for this one.
And it's amazing to see kind of creepypastas do something like that because it kind of means that, well, it kind of, leaves a lot up to the person at the end for how the story goes, because do they
Yes.
spread the word?
Yeah, that's right. It's a pretty smart way to end off the story and continue the whole theme of the story as well. Really, really cool.
I'm trying to think. Well, I guess it's you up next, so you're probably just going to pick out something random, but it'd be interesting for you to dive in and just look through some of the classics and pick one out.
Yeah, I might do that next time is, look at the top 10 or maybe top 20 and see which tickles my fancy and go from there. I guess, that does us for this one. Let us know, what are your guys' thoughts on smile.jpeg or however you like to call it, whether it's smile.dog or smiledog or whatever. Let us know.
Not only that, but let us know if you spread the word.
Yes. And what other stories should we check out and do a read through? Let us know.
Because I think I'm at this rate, I'm probably run out of classics. It's kind of inevitable.
Yeah, that is true.
Well, the good ones.
All right. We'll catch you in the next one.